Every man carries within him a furnace, not of iron, not of steel, but of flesh and fire. It is hidden in his loins, yet it is not merely about reproduction. It is a reservoir of energy, a reservoir Freud called the libido. The world mocks men who speak of semen as power, dismissing it as superstition or pseudoscience. But Freud, though flawed and often ridiculed, knew this truth. Semen is not just fluid, it is psychic fuel. It is condensed life force, the raw essence from which kingdoms, paintings, wars, and revolutions are birthed. Men treat it as disposable, and that is why most men are disposable. Freud saw that the libido wasn't just sexual, it was the very undercurrent of human ambition, imagination, and drive. What you dream, what you crave, what you build, it is all soaked in this hidden current. Deny it, and it doesn't vanish. Repress it, and it doesn't dissolve. Instead, it mutates, like fire sealed in a cellar, leaking smoke through the cracks. Freud observed societies that try to crush desire with morality, religion, and politeness. But the repression didn't make men holy. It made them sick, racked with neuroses, obsessions, compulsions. The priest preaching abstinence became the same man who fantasized in shadows. The office worker who buried his lust became the one addicted to trivial pleasures, constantly twitching for relief. Suppressed energy does not die, it poisons. Imagine two men. The first is the indulgent type. He believes pleasure is freedom, so he gives himself to every woman, every fantasy, every flicker of temptation. His nights are loud, his mornings hollow. Over time, his body is drained, his eyes dull, his voice loses its thunder. He confuses constant release with conquest, but in reality, he is conquered by his own biology, enslaved to his urges. He is like a leaking furnace, heat wasted into the cold air. The second man is his opposite. He represses everything. He locks his desires in an iron chest, ashamed of them, afraid of them. He never indulges, never explores. On the outside, he looks calm, but inside, he rots. His energy ferments into anxiety, into quiet madness. He becomes a haunted man, tense, bitter, trembling at shadows. He is like a furnace that has been sealed too tight. Smoke fills the chamber until it chokes him from the inside. Freud's brutal lesson was this: semen is not something to waste, but neither is it something to deny. It is fuel. You can either mismanage it until it destroys you, or learn to master it until it builds you. The man who spends his nights scrolling through images and spilling his essence is not just losing sleep, he is mortgaging his future. He is trading tomorrow's strength for tonight's weakness. The man who represses and denies his desires, pretending he is above them, does not escape them. He becomes a prisoner in his own head, fighting demons that grow stronger in silence. The truth is harder, darker, more demanding. You must confront your own furnace. You must open the chamber, acknowledge the fire, and learn to direct it toward creation instead of destruction. Freud cracked the door. He showed us that desire, if misunderstood, will rot a man from the inside. But he also revealed a darker possibility, that this force, this semen, this libido, is the very material from which greatness can be forged. The alchemy begins not with denial, not with indulgence, but with recognition. Within you burns a fire, strong enough to consume you or crown you. The question is whether you will waste it, repress it, or master it. Death of desire, the Stoics' path to cold clarity. This is not a guide. This is not self-help. This is war. Kill the need, master the mind. The fire of transmutation. From flesh to power, the body does not lie. Every man knows the difference between the morning after indulgence and the morning after restraint. One wakes up sluggish, eyes glazed, a body that feels emptied. The other wakes up charged, a restlessness in the veins, an edge sharper than steel. This is not mysticism. It is biology turned alchemy. Sexual energy, when hoarded and redirected, is no longer just a hunger. It becomes a weapon. A man who learns this secret is no longer a slave to lust. He is its master, and lust itself becomes his servant. This is the hidden alchemy, the fire of transmutation. What others call lust, the wise call raw material. The furnace of semen is not meant to be spilled cheaply, like coins tossed to beggars. It is meant to be smelted, refined, hammered into new forms of power. Men throughout history knew this truth, though they spoke it in different tongues. The monks in their monasteries, denying women not out of hatred, but out of discipline, so that their chants and prayers carried more force. The samurai warriors who practiced restraint, believing their sexual energy heightened their ferocity in battle. Even the emperors who rationed their indulgence, not because they lacked women, but because they understood that too much release dulled their edge. All of them knew, what you do with your seed determines what you become. Contrast this with the modern man. He is drowning in abundance, not of women, but of simulations. Screens that drip feed him the illusion of conquest, a digital harem that robs him without touch. His furnace leaks daily, sometimes hourly, and with each leak, his posture weakens, his voice thins, his will erodes. This is why you see men restless, addicted, chasing dopamine instead of destiny. They have squandered the very fire that should have forged them. They think they are men, but they are embers, dim, fragile, one gust away from extinction. But the man who learns retention, who takes the furnace of semen and refuses to waste it, feels a transformation. His eyes sharpen, his walk changes, his presence thickens. He is no longer chasing women, because women are chasing him, drawn to the silent gravity of his energy. He no longer begs opportunity, because opportunity bends towards him, sensing in him a force others lack. His mind clears, his aggression heightens, his focus locks onto his mission like a predator on prey. What others call self-control, he knows as self-crowning. Yet let it be clear, this path is not soft. Retention without discipline leads to mania. A man who hoards energy but does not transmute it into creation becomes a lunatic, restless, irritable, haunted by the very lust he is trying to master. He becomes dangerous not to others, but to himself. The fire must be directed, not just stored. That is why transmutation is the key. You do not merely hold it, you channel it. Into writing, into training, into building, into leading. The furnace must burn, but it must burn towards something higher. This is why some men become addicts and others become kings. The addict chases relief. The king channels fire into legacy. The addict spends his seed in dark rooms for a fleeting moment of pleasure. The king spends his energy in the light of battle, creation, and conquest. The addict dies forgotten. The king dies a legend. The difference is not money, or genetics, or luck. It is what they did with the dark fire of semen. Transmutation is the forgotten art. In every man lies the same furnace, the same potential. Most will squander it in the gutters of indulgence. Some will repress it until it poisons them. But a rare few will refine it, transmute it, and turn their lust into power, their hunger into destiny. These men rise above the mass, their aura unexplainable, their presence unforgettable. They are not lucky, they are alchemists. They have turned the lead of lust into the gold of willpower. In the alchemy of lust, you'll be taken deep into the ancient and forgotten discipline of sexual transmutation, a principle once reserved for monks, warriors, kings, and creators. The will to power. Nietzsche and the dark crown Freud gave us the diagnosis, but Nietzsche gave us the cure. Freud revealed the furnace, the libido, the danger of repression and indulgence, but it was Nietzsche who demanded the next step, transcendence. He didn't care for men who merely controlled themselves. He wanted men who conquered themselves. To him, semen was not a moral issue, not a sin or virtue, but a currency of power. To spill it carelessly was to waste gold. To hoard it without direction was to rot with greed. To transmute it into will, into creation, conquest, and destiny was to crown oneself. Nietzsche's Übermensch was not a man obsessed with pleasure. He was not the weakling who hides behind rules, nor the addict who drowns in lust. He was the man who took the storm of desire and steered it toward his own ascension. He looked at indulgence and laughed at its smallness. He looked at repression and spat on its cowardice. He demanded something harder, darker, sublimation, to turn the ache of lust into the hammerstroke of art, to turn the hunger for women into the hunger for empire, to turn the restless semen into restless ambition. The man who walks this path becomes marked. He carries an aura others cannot explain. Women sense it in his eyes, in the weight of his voice. Men feel it in his presence, though they cannot name it. It is the gravity of one who has mastered his furnace. His seed is not wasted on strangers or lost in shadows. It is transmuted into his legacy. His words burn deeper because they are forged in withheld fire. His creations endure because they were birthed from denied indulgence. His very existence becomes magnetic because his life force is not scattered. It is focused like a blade. Understand this, semen is not the final goal. It is the fuel. If you master it, you gain a weapon most men will never touch. If you waste it, you are forgotten. If you repress it, you are tormented. But if you transmute it, you ascend. This is the dark alchemy that Freud uncovered and Nietzsche perfected. Semen becomes will to power, and will to power becomes legacy. The world will try to distract you. Screens, addictions, endless pleasures. They want you drained, docile, forgettable. But the man who learns to hold his fire and aim it with precision becomes unstoppable. He becomes a walking storm, feared by mediocrity, respected by destiny. This is the decree. Men who cannot master their seed remain slaves. Slaves to pleasure, slaves to impulse, slaves to obscurity. But the man who masters it wears the dark crown of self-mastery. He becomes legend. He becomes immortal in memory. He becomes the proof that semen, when transmuted, is not just flesh, it is empire. Thus remember, we are Indecepta. The Crusaders Bundle. 4 ruthless lessons. 1 unbreakable code. For a limited time, claim all 4 Indecepta audiobooks for the price of 3. Step inside the private archive of discipline, power, and psychological warfare, where lust is conquered, the mind is weaponized, and legacy is forged. Don't just listen. Arm yourself. Indeceptions.com